Hi, and welcome back to Comms Corner. My name is Bella Hayes, and today I'm with Nicole Grant, who traveled abroad to Florence, Italy last year and is now returning as a soon-to-be graduating senior in the comms department. Nicole, thanks for coming and taking your time out of your day to speak with me. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm pretty good myself. So let's get into it. So last year you traveled abroad to Italy, correct?
Yes.
All right, and how long did you go for?
I was there for 9 months.
9 months, wow. That's a really long time. What made you decide to go into studying abroad, and more specifically, what made you decide to go to Italy?
Well, I've always wanted to travel my whole
Yeah.
life. I used to collect National Geographic magazines when I was a kid and just
Yeah.
save all the pictures and post them on my wall. So, always wanted to see more of the world. I ended up choosing Italy because I wanted to go somewhere where I could kind of learn a new language. And I also was able to take classes in English and get my upper division GEs done. So it kind of just worked out well for me. Yeah.
Nice. And you said you had to learn a new language because, Italy's not really an English-speaking country. How was that experience for you? Have you learned a language before in your life, or was this kind of your first time getting that new language experience?
I studied Spanish in high school, but
Okay.
I didn't continue it after.
Yeah.
And I hadn't studied Italian previously, so with the program we have, your first month you just get a basic understanding of the language. So they teach us how to order food and get around, which buying food is a great motivator for learning fast.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah, I think just being immersed in the culture and like having to know it to just buy groceries or get directions or just daily things, I learned pretty fast. I'm losing it a little bit now since I don't use it
Yeah.
every day, but I think I'll pick it up again if I go back.
Yeah. Did you find any similarities between learning Spanish and learning Italian? Because I know people say they're very similar, but from my experience, they're kind of two completely different languages. Did that practice help you?
A little bit, yeah. I mean, definitely grammatically, there's a lot of similarities, and then some of the words overlap. Friends I had that were more fluent in Spanish were usually the best in our class. Like, they just picked it up really fast.
Okay.
But I also know Spanish, I think, is a little closer to Italian than
Yeah.
Spanish in other places.
Yeah. So, since you traveled abroad for 9 months, which is a significant time, were you able to go home or were you kind of Italy bound while you're over there?
I decided to stay there the whole time because I felt like if I came back, it would be too hard to fly back and like leave
Yeah.
my friends and family again. So I stayed the full 9 months. My family actually got to come visit me for
Oh,
Christmas.
nice.
So that was really cool. I got to show them
Yeah.
around where my school was and everything.
Yeah. Did you do any other traveling around in Italy?
Yeah, I went a lot of places. We do field trips with our school, so we went
Okay.
to like Rome and Milan and Torino. I also got to go to Assisi, which is a really pretty town, a little more inland. And then Cinque Terre is like a popular tourist place, but it's really pretty.
Yeah. So, what are some of the cultural differences you might have had trouble adapting to then that are not normal here in the United States?
There were lots of little things, like just very strong social rules, I guess. So, like,
Okay.
I mean, you don't want to order a cappuccino past 3 o'clock.
Yeah.
Like, little things like that. The way you dress, too, you would never want to wear gym clothes to the gym. You wear your nice clothes there, change to your gym clothes, and then change back into your nice clothes and leave. So there's lots of little ways that if you do any of that wrong, people will know, like, you're a tourist automatically.
You're a
And
foreigner,
I was
you're
trying
not.
really hard to blend in
Yeah.
as much as I could, so...
Wow.
Yeah, it was definitely a lot to just like keep track of. Sometimes I would do something and they'd just like look over and I'd know. But
Okay. Yeah. And how was it coming back and adjusting here? Because, you probably started wearing your gym clothes, going to the gym while you're over here, then wearing, a nice suit.
the summer was actually pretty easy because I got to be with my family. It was definitely different coming back to campus for the first time, like being
Okay.
at SSU and realizing how long it had been since I'd been back here.
Yeah.
I think I kept a little bit of like the style, I think, but I would say it took about a semester to kind of adjust to being back.
Okay, wow. And I know you work in the international department and you help coordinate some students who are planning to go abroad. How has that experience helped you adapt? Because you must speak to more people in that.
Yeah, that's nice because I'm with students that already studied abroad. So I'm able to talk to them about their experience. We're going
Yeah.
through the adjustment together. And then being able to focus on helping new students with their options with going abroad is really cool. Also, meeting international students on campus,
Yeah.
it's fun. It's a really cool community in the office. So.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much for taking your time to sit with me and to answer some of my questions about traveling abroad to Italy. I hope you all at home had the chance to learn what it's like to study abroad and be in that environment. So, once again, I'm Bella Hayes, and this was with Nicole Grant about traveling abroad to Italy, and we'll see you next time.
Welcome to Marvin's Room. Today, I'm Marvin Hernandez, and I'm here with my guest, Nathan, and we're going to talk about the insider scoop on what it's like to live the worker retail experience. Nathan, I know you've been working at H&M now. How long have you been working there?
Well, I actually worked at Target for about like 3 months before then, and then for H&M, it's been about a little over a year and a half now. So it's been fun. There's moments, you know.
Yeah, so what was it about H&M that you were attracted to?
Well, I was bored of working in food, and I kind of didn't like it. So I really wanted to switch to retail because then I could also do a lot more things than just like standing at like a register or like waiting on people to take their orders. So it's really fun to like be in my own world also because I mean I'm literally just folding clothes. So like that's not much to it.
Do you think there's often a bad rapport when it comes to working in retail? I know there's many comments that people may make saying, oh, don't work in retail. It's a nightmare. Do you agree with those?
I mean, sometimes yes. Like I don't really like it when people leave their clothes in the fitting room, especially when they're trying on like a lot of things. That's like terrible.
Guilty.
But I do love the pay.
Right.
I love it. So I get to buy more clothes.
Beautiful. So what's a typical routine like for you, normal routine in H&M?
Like how my day starts.
Yeah, just give us like a play-by-play.
Okay, so I walk into the store. I run up the escalator. I clock in, and then I go downstairs, and then I talk to my manager, and then I just do whatever they tell me to do. So
Right.
sometimes it's like being on the register. Sometimes it's like customer servicing on the floor. Sometimes it's like being in the fitting room. I really don't know what I'm going into for the day.
Would it be fair to say it's a high strenuous job?
At times, like especially during like the holiday season, that's when people like are really like uppity about like what they want, and it's not really like fun at that time. But like right now, where it's like slow, it's like chill, and we're
Right.
just like vibing.
So would you say that working at H&M is stressful? Like, would you say there's any stressful aspects to it?
No, I really just hope I don't get bored when I go into work. Like that's my biggest fear, because if I'm bored, then the day just goes on like forever.
Right. What's the opposite of boring? Like, what makes working there much more, interesting?
I know this is stupid, but like I love the crazy customers because it always gives me a story to like tell people. So like I really hope there's always someone with a personality, and like also like my coworkers, like sometimes like they're like we just hired new ones too. So I'm like really excited to get to know other people.
Right.
Because I want to tell people my stupid stories.
Right. So what would you tell people who want to work in retail? Like, what would you tell them about customers specifically?
Oh, that's a hard question. They're all just unique in themselves. Like some are really chill, which are the great ones, and then some are just like not. They don't really like take your criticism well because I mean, I guess since I'm young, people really don't take whatever I say seriously. And it's really like annoying because then they'll just keep a line going up and when I'm telling them the same thing over and over again. So I would just say like maybe be precautious about who you might have to deal with.
Of course.
Because you never really know what's going to happen.
Of course.
One of my old friends, like my old coworkers, actually got like threatened the other day from a customer.
Wow.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Do you think that's like a normal on the job?
It really depends on the location because she was in Fresno, and there's 2 stores in Fresno. And she's like at the not the good one. So it was kind of like expected. It's like how at my store there's people who like steal and we know who they are.
Of course, yeah. So would you say then, how would you describe H&M and like in general, just working there, like the retail environment there?
It's pretty chill. It feels like a second family. Like everyone really, I mean, my store's pretty small, so we all really know each other very well. And with like big stores, there's just a lot of personalities going on, and you're really free to do whatever like you kind of want to do. Like, there's nothing like too strenuous about it, I would say.
That's good then. So you must enjoy yourself then most of the time.
Yeah, it's pretty fun. It's pretty chill. So
Right.
I like it.
So our time's coming up a little bit short, but I just want to leave you with one more question.
Yes.
What would you tell someone who's interested in working in retail? Like, what are the positive aspects to it?
Oh, that's hard. Well, for me, I definitely have like a better take on fashion and like what I wear because I'm surrounded by clothes every day. So it's one of the good aspects. Also, you really build on like your own customer servicing, like selling yourself to other people.
That must be really
Inter-
interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it is,
yeah.
yeah.
Well, thank you for being with here today. You know, I greatly appreciate it,
Thank you for having me. I like your live studio audience.
and I hope they enjoyed our talk too.
right,
It was
yeah.
nice talking to
It
you.
was nice talking to you too.
Welcome back once again to Calm's Corner, and today we have Jarrett Fiffick, who is a fourth-year business major here at Sonoma State. And Jarrett, a lot has changed in your time here as a student. However, among those has been your fitness journey. And today we are hoping to actualize what your fitness journey has been for the benefit of other people who perhaps think that changing their fitness goals is a tough task that cannot be achieved. So Jarrett, welcome. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
And a lot has changed in your journey, like I said, but what was your initial perception of fitness that kind of might have been a good thing or a bad thing in the short term, but ended up paying off in the long run when that perception might have changed?
My initial perception of fitness was very scary. Coming out of high school, coming into a college campus, a lot of older individuals around. I was not used to that much bulging muscle and tank top, so it was a little bit of an uncomfortable situation to be in at first. But once I learned to kind of settle into my own skin and learn what I was there to do, it was pretty easy.
Awesome. Wonderful. And one of those things, because I was with you in that fitness journey for at least the last 2 years, one of the biggest things has been cardio. What was your initial perception of cardio and how you did that, and then how has that changed over time?
Well, I thought you had to sit on a bike or walk on a treadmill for 2.5 hours to get really anywhere with cardio, and then you shifted my whole perception by introducing me to other forms that I could use. It showed me that cardio is extremely important, but it's only one part of the entire fitness pie. So if you just focus on that, you're going to make benefits, but it's not going to translate necessarily into all areas.
Absolutely. And one of those things, as far as cardio goes and how we've reworked that, was HIIT cardio, which is an acronym HIIT that stands for high intensity interval training. How have you incorporated that into perhaps something like a treadmill run before your workout? How have you broken up a mile? And for other students who are interested and want to work out but kind of see it as this daunting task, how did you break that up in doing high intensity interval training?
Well, for me, it was pretty easy. I just hop on a treadmill. I pick a speed that's either high to medium difficulty, and then I'll either pick distance intervals or time intervals, and I'll just go off that. So most of the time, I'll just run 30 seconds on, 30 seconds off until I hit a mile. We're good to go. We'll move on.
Absolutely. And that is actually a pretty replicable process, as you and I have both found. And throughout that, obviously, the physical benefits come. When you're able to replicate something like that, and you only need to be at the gym for a short amount of time, but you're going intense, what have been the mental effects for you as a student? And what can other students here seek in those mental effects if they try to incorporate this more into their own life?
Well, my fitness journey has led me on a lot of different mental pathways. It's led me to develop better, I guess you would call it habit management. So I've managed to make positive habits and break negative habits.
Absolutely.
At the same time, I'm also managing to boost self-confidence and maintain productive streaks throughout the day.
Absolutely. And while you're at the gym, what's some of your favorite music? What's your gym playlist?
I love heavy metal and I love hard rock, but I also like hip hop. My go-to would be either Judas Priest, AC/DC, Metallica, Iron Maiden, all the classics.
Wow. Sounds like you're pounding through. And obviously we know that about 40% of it has to do, I mean, give or take, with your workout, and then the other considerable portion is your diet. But what a lot of people don't know is that cutting out the right things doesn't always consist of cutting out fat. What have been some of the biggest things for you that other people might not think to cut out right away?
Soda,
Soda.
Gatorade, any kind of sugary drink, fast food is another big one.
Yep.
Even though it may not seem fatty, that processed food's really bad for you.
Absolutely.
And then just other little stuff, like I only go to Dutch Bros once every other week now instead of
There you
once
go.
every 3 days.
And you know what? That's an important kind of sentiment in you saying that, because other people might think that, in order for you to actually achieve your fitness goals, at least eating wise, you have to cut out everything altogether. But it's extremely important, as that's not the case, to give yourself those cheat days once a week, once every 2 weeks, however you see fit. Would you say that you can attest to that?
I would agree to that. I started my fitness journey my freshman year at Sonoma State at about 270 pounds. I sit here as a fourth-year student now at about 205.
Wow.
And I didn't just cut out all junk food. I just made smart decisions, moderation, and I just stay consistent.
Absolutely. I can relate. I got the freshman 50, not 15, and I was 248 pounds. And thanks to you and my efforts along the way, I cut down to 170. So that was awesome. And you also played a huge role in that as well. And Jared, based on your experience, is there any last thing that you could give students to kind of make this process more tangible for them and not something that they have to feel like is this daunting task that they can't replicate day in and day out?
I would have two pieces of advice for anybody that's looking to go into a gym to start a fitness journey. I would say, number one, don't compare yourself to anybody else. Your journey is your metric, and you can't measure yourself by somebody else's. And if you're having a hard time sticking to your workouts, get a workout partner. Partner always helps you stay consistent, and they'll keep you in check.
You've certainly been the best partner in the process. Jared, thank you so much for joining us here on Comms Corner. We hope you have a wonderful day, and hopefully we'll see you here sometime soon.
Hello everyone and welcome back to Comms Corner. My name is Peyton Mullaney and I'm here with my special guest, Megan Wee. Thank you so much for joining us today. We're so excited to have you. So pretty much we just wanted to have a conversation about what it's like going from a 4-year university, Sonoma State, and transferring and becoming an online student. So can you tell us a little bit about why you chose Sonoma in the first place?
Yeah, of course. I grew up in the East Bay, so Sonoma was a close option. It was like that close far that you wanted as a college student. You don't want to be too close to home where your parents are always like coming up to visit and stuff like that. But it's a far enough distance to where they didn't do that, but it was close enough to where I could go home whenever I wanted. And they had an amazing teaching track here. So I originally started out at Sonoma wanting to become an elementary school teacher. So essentially that's what I came to Sonoma for. Their teaching track is amazing. Okay. You can get your bachelor and your credential in 4 years. So it seemed like a great option to me as a student to be able to get both of those done for the same price of just bachelor's financially and time-wise to be out in 4 years and be able to teach.
The Hutchins program is definitely awesome and it's a really great choice. But you said you originally wanted to be an elementary school teacher. Yeah. What changed for you? What's your major now?
Now I'm still in the interdisciplinary studies program at Northern Arizona University, but the end goal isn't to be a teacher. I actually got offered a position, a salary full-time position at a local church in the area, and that's what I wanted to end up doing after college. So after my career changed, that kind of sparked the decision for me to transfer. Yeah. Just with time and everything like that, but yeah, essentially I switched from being a teacher to working at a local church.
No, that's super cool. You're still you're a junior right now, right?
Yes.
But you will be graduating this year, and you said you're going to Northern Arizona University?
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about why you decided to do that and what led you to that and how you went about going to an online student.
Yeah. So I started off Sonoma State probably about sophomore year. I started nannying a lot. I was helping a family out in Bodega Bay with their, at that time, 2-month-old baby.
Wow, that's awesome.
So I started helping them. I was working about 35 to 45 hours a week.
And a full-time student?
Yes. So it was a little crazy, but a lot of those hours led into the morning because I was helping sleep train him. So it was until about 3 a.m. in the morning most nights. I was working. So just because of that schedule, it started to complicate things a lot. And then I also started volunteering at the church that I work at now. Yeah. So with the 20 hours of volunteering there and the 40 hours of working full time and
you are an overload.
Yes, trying to balance my studies, it became a lot to have to be in class and not be able to work around those like early morning hours, and obviously the kids asleep starting at like 7 p.m. So from 7 p.m. to 3 a.m. I was up, but I wasn't able to be like doing schoolwork or anything like that, or even sleeping where I could sort of like shift my schedule around. So I started thinking about online schooling. Never really pulled the trigger until last semester. But after I found the program that I found at NAU, it just seemed like a perfect fit. So
that's awesome. I can't believe you did all of that and being a full-time student. That's literally insane. I could never imagine. But so is it cheaper for you to be an online student? Have you found out like financial struggles are diminishing because of that?
Yes, definitely, because I am able to work more now and I can do my schoolwork at night. True. It doesn't have the complication of having your work hours also be during school hours, because I know that's a complication for a lot of students in this period where jobs want them to work from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m., but that's when they have classes during the day. Especially for teachers who are going into the teaching program and want to be volunteering at schools, it's hard. And so, yeah, my financial struggles are definitely diminishing now that I can work essentially full time and not have to worry about my schoolwork interrupting that. And it's also a 6-month program for $3,000, and I can complete as many classes as I want during that 6-month period.
And then you're going to be done and graduated, right?
Yes.
Well, thank you so much. We're about to wrap up, but before we do you have any just last tips for people who are about to pull the trigger but they're not sure if it's for them?
Of course. Everyone has their own path, honestly. You really have to figure out what's right for you, what's right for your financial situation, your job situation. Online schooling does require another level of discipline because you're doing it by yourself.
Yeah.
There's no other people around you. That community is eliminated. So you really have to make sure, I think, that you have a strong sense of community wherever you are, because isolation can cause a lot of issues, especially as a college student when you're in your young 20s and you're really forming your identity. Community is super important. So just make sure you have a community, make sure it's right for you. Everyone does have their own path, like I said, so just making sure that it's what is the best for you.
For sure. Well, thank you so much, and we'll see you next week on Comms Corner.
I'm Colby, and I am interviewing my guest, Anthony. Welcome to Business Insider. And today we're going to be talking a little bit about how you have progressed from where you started to where you are now. So can you tell us a little bit about what you do currently?
So currently I'm a real estate agent. I'm about 2 months away from getting my broker's license. I do a little bit of wine business as well. Involved in camelina oil, which is just basically another form of cooking oil, but it also has some health benefits to it as well. And partnering with a couple other startups, I guess you could call them, for some kind of side businesses, trying to see what team would work best for each individual, so that their ideas could come to fruition.
That's awesome. So how'd you get started doing all this?
When I was probably a sophomore in high school, I got into network marketing, and that taught me personal development, because we had to build teams in order to be successful, and I couldn't replicate success if my team members didn't understand how to do it. So I had to basically hit the books really hard, and my analogy is, if I want to learn from if I want to learn to be a professional basketball player, then I'll probably learn from a professional basketball player. But I wanted to learn how to make money and do business, so I learned from people who made money and did business.
That's interesting. So what would you say your biggest inspirations were? You touched a little bit about motivation. How do you get yours?
Biggest motivation is God. I'm a very faith-based person. My second motivation is family, and then third and last is myself. So I always think that, I always take that walk by faith and not by sight. And then also just watching the recession and how that affected everybody around me, I always thought to myself, well, if we're ever in this situation again, I don't want to be on this side of it.
So you put your faith into something higher, and that gives you the drive and the purpose? Yeah,
exactly.
That's awesome. So how'd you get started? What was some of your first jobs that really put you on the path you're on right now?
The biggest thing was probably when I went through a plumbing apprenticeship, and I dug ditches for like 6 months. And then I got promoted to project manager. And so running my first project, and I'm like 17 years old, the VP of the company, or the president of the company, comes and he says, look, if you're going to do something, do it right the first time, or don't do it at all. And I was like, well, looking at this dentist office. So that was a big lesson for me, to just understand everything that I'm doing. Like, if I don't get it, I need to learn it.
Exactly. I couldn't have said it better myself. So you went from that business, and then what was the next one?
So after that, I decided, okay, well, I want to do a little bit of hospitality. I did a little bit of hospitality, started a company with my mom. We decided to go, I had money saved. She had money saved. I respect and cherish my mother like just like my light.
What was your
So,
business with her?
There was no wine on QVC. So we wanted to put 100,000 cases of Napa Valley wine on QVC, because there was only Vintage Wine Estates and there was Kevin O'Leary's wine. So we went through this whole pro forma, and we went through all of our shipping, and we literally did everything until point of sale, where all you would have to do is just have QVC be willing to put our wine on there. Well, they shut it down because Mr. Wonderful was not having it. But it's okay, because that was a huge failure, and we learned from that. I think failure is just first attempt in learning.
Absolutely. So, I mean, it's kind of bold going into business with your mom then.
Yeah.
That's kind of an interesting business partner you had there. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so your second business, outside of that, what was the next one after that?
So then I got into real estate just because land can be created, or land can't be created. I mean, things on top of land can be created and destroyed, but we fight wars for land. Like, land is
Absolutely
what people are, the end goal. Like what I do now, real estate, it's most people's largest purchase of their life. So looking at that and saying, well, this is so important to everybody. Let's do something that I can service people, because service is big.
Okay, so your next project was kind of like going into Landshare then?
I did timeshare for a little
Timeshare.
bit. Yeah, I did timeshare. I like the corporate aspect of timeshare. And that taught me a lot about people. It also taught me a lot about corporate business and how sharky it is. So anybody out there that's like thinking of going into corporate, just be prepared for lots of stress, and maybe not the best individuals around you looking out for your best interest, because you got to really be aware of your surroundings.
All right, well, thank you so much, Anthony. It was
Thanks,
awesome having you.
Thanks for being. It was great to be here.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Anna, and welcome back to Comms Corner. I'm here with a very special guest, Taylor Pohl, and we both share some very interesting likes, which is loving animals. So, Taylor, thank you for being here this morning.
Of course.
And I hear that you help out a shelter. Is it a local shelter? Can you tell me where it's at and the name?
Yeah, it's the Roanoke Park Animal Shelter. I've actually been fostering there for about a year now.
Perfect. And how did you get into that?
My roommate works there. She's like the lead shelter assistant, so she gets to pick what animals come home with us, and we go from there.
Perfect. And is it just one kind of animal that you foster, or do you have the preference to choose?
We mainly, since we live in an apartment, we mainly just foster cats or kittens. Yeah.
Is there a reason as to why you foster them? Do they have like any like health issues, or is it just because they don't have a home at the moment?
Yeah, pretty much. Actually, both. Over the summer, since it was like considered kitten season, we had about 6 kittens who were living with us.
Oh, wow.
And they were like still weaning, so we had to bottle feed them. Sadly, one of them did die.
Oh.
So that's like a really scary part, I guess, of volunteering.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so with that, unfortunately, sad things happen like that. Is there anything else that makes it hard to be fostering animals?
Giving them up.
Oh.
Once, we actually have a foster cat with us right now. His name's Will Farrow.
Cute.
Yeah. We've had him for about 2 months now. But since spring break's coming up, we're trying to put him back in the animal shelter to see if anybody wants to adopt him.
Okay.
Yeah, he was left in a cage for most of his life. He's about 8 months old right now. So he didn't have really any human interaction, and he was really scared when we first got him, but now he's starting to like us and everything, so.
Yeah, and since you have fostered animals, have you ever wanted to keep one of those? Is it?
Every time,
Yeah.
We had kittens over the kittens I was talking about over the summer. We had them for about 2 or 3 months, and yeah, I got to see like everybody who like adopted the kittens that we had, and it was like we get to name them and everything. So it's really hard to let them go.
When you give these animals back, do they go to a different home, or is that the time that they're ready to be adopted?
Yeah, that's the
permanently?
time. Yeah.
Okay.
Bring them back to the shelter, and most of the time they're spayed or neutered, and then they're put out into adoptions, and usually within 2 weeks they're all gone.
Okay, got it. And now, for anybody that's curious about doing this, is this just a voluntary job? Is there pay for it? Is it?
No, it is voluntary. We don't get paid for it, but they do supply us with everything that we need, which is like food, medicine, like warm blanket heaters for like the kittens who can't like keep themselves warm.
Got it.
Yeah.
And what other hardships have you faced with, having cats in your house? Like, is it hard to maybe like train them or do anything along those lines?
Getting them to like go to the bathroom in their litter box when it's like right there is actually kind of hard. So we usually keep them in the bathroom at nighttime because I've had cats pee and poop all over my bed sometimes. So that's like not fun.
Yeah, I
yeah.
would think not. And so for anybody else who would be interested, is there paperwork that you need to do? Is there any specific things that you need to show to be able to help out the shelter?
Yeah, you do have to be 18 years old to fill out an application. Usually they're really they want people to foster kittens or cats, even cats, because sometimes when cats are scared or shy or like intimidated, they need to, most people just won't even like look at them because they want like a cat that's cuddly and stuff.
Yeah.
So then we have to be the ones to like bring them
The love to them.
Yes.
Yeah, of course, I see.
Yes.
Well, yes, that is very nice of you to be doing. That is something that I'm definitely interested in doing. And if anybody else is interested, you said it's a Rotner Park Animal Shelter.
Rotner Park.
So go out there and help out to foster a loving kitten. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Welcome back, everyone, to Comms Corner, and we are here with our special guest today, Doug. Doug, how you doing, man?
Pretty good.
Good. Glad to have you here. So,
Thanks.
What we wanted to talk about today was Doug's certain interest and passion that he has with computers. He was just telling me backstage earlier about this, and it sounds fascinating. So, Doug, what exactly were you telling me backstage?
Well, I was telling you about what I got into in the past 5 years. I've always had an interest in technology, but I've never had money, so I wanted to figure out how to combine those two. And I thought that if I started just building computers like I do it in my hobby and selling them, I could make a living without having to slave away to some boss.
Wow, yeah, no, I totally see that. You want to work for yourself. You don't want to have to listen to someone telling you what to do. So, aside from that, what was the one thing besides just maybe something like that got you into computers? Do you yourself just really love playing games or just being on a desktop or what was it?
Yes. Yeah, I've always liked playing games. I've always been more of a console gamer up until recently, but computers just seem like an easy thing to get into just because we live in Silicon Valley. There's just such an abundance of parts that I've always had just stuff to play with and mess around with. That's kind of how I got started, was just messing around with parts.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I myself am super into computers and everything like that, and I feel like I don't know anything about them, so this is very interesting for me to hear. And this leads into my next part here of what is exactly the most important part of building a computer? What matters more? Say you're on a budget or something, and you can only spend so much money, whether it's here or there. What do you want to make sure that you have the absolute best of?
Well, it's really important that you just follow all the guidelines and just before you turn it on, just double check that everything is fastened correctly. Because it's actually very simple to build a computer these days. The process is really streamlined. But just making sure that all the parts are compatible with the years and just making sure that you have the software and the hardware in sync.
For sure. Okay, so where exactly would someone go to want to buy these parts? Like, can you just go to the local store, or is it better to order it online, or where do you find the best deals and the best discounts?
Well, if you're just looking to just buy your own computer, I actually don't recommend going to Best Buy or any place like that, because what they do is they give you low quality parts at a high price. And on the surface, it looks like a good deal because they put a bunch of bundles in there, but you're actually getting very low quality components for the price. If you want to start building your own computer, go onto eBay and just go on Reddit and type in like best computer for $300, best laptop for $300. You can get stuff that's so much better than what you'll be buying in the stores.
Okay, for sure. Yeah, I think that's great. I think computers are something that not many people know about unless you really put a lot of time into it. So I think a lot of people are actually just losing a lot of money or getting a lot of really bad deals when they could just put a little research in and actually save themselves a lot of money and build a better rig. So
very true.
So what's your opinion on PC versus laptops? Would you prefer to have like a Dell laptop or a MacBook, or would you rather have a big setup with multiple monitors, like a nice chair, some good speakers, or what do you think?
Well, for me, I'm more of a desktop guy because I feel like in today's world, you have a smartphone. Most people have a high-end smartphone. Like, your iPhone or Android phone can do 90% of what a laptop can do, and you don't have to lug it around in the backpack. Unless you're doing video editing on the go or something, there's really not a whole lot of reason to have a laptop anymore. A desktop, on the other hand, can do so much more than a laptop or a phone. Like, you can, if it's powerful enough, you can run it for like 24 hours on like a full load and it won't overheat. You can play games for hours on it. You can like store massive files with like tons of hard drives. So I think that laptops are slowly becoming obsolete in this world.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not a fan of laptops at all. I can't even use it for school. So,
right.
So what is one of the most important things that you've learned about making computers that you could only learn from actually making one yourself or building one?
Just make sure you make something that you would use yourself if you're going to sell it to a customer, is really my philosophy. Because when I'm making a computer, I think, is this something that I would pay $100 for, $200 for? And I don't select low quality components like HP and Dell. I go out of my way and I'll put the extra $25 into getting a better power supply that won't fry everything else, getting a faster hard drive so it'll boot in 20 seconds instead of waiting for a minute. That's why you see so much stuff thrown out. You've all had a laptop that starts in like 2 minutes, right? Well, that's because HP and Dell want to rip you off.
Okay.
I don't do that.
Well, for our last question here, we're going to ask, what would be your absolute dream build? Something that you would want to wake up and look at and it would just bring you instant happiness.
Oh, man. Just something that I can just pretty much play any game on. Something that boots in like 3-4 seconds. Yeah, just something I could wake up to and just turn it on and no BS, just straight into the business.
Awesome, man. Glad to hear it. Well, thank you for taking time to come out and talk to us about that. And that's it for Comms Corner. We'll see you guys next week.
Hi, and welcome back to Comms Corner. Today I have Morgan Mitchell. She has a very interesting story. She's a junior here at Sonoma State. And tell us a little bit about your story. Tell us why you're here.
Well, I chose Sonoma State just because the school is beautiful and I really enjoyed their communications program. But actually when I was 7, I was adopted, and so that's actually part of the reason I'm in Northern California now. When I was 5, I went into the foster system. When I was 7, I was officially adopted, along with my younger sibling. So being at Sonoma State meant that I could be closer to my family and closer to my friends back home. So it was really important for me to be able to stay close to them.
So what was the process for you? Like, how did you feel about it, and do you remember being adopted?
I do. Since I lived with my birth family for about 5 years, I have a lot of memories of that happening. My brother was only 1, so he doesn't really remember. For me, it wasn't really a big deal because my birth family were drug addicts, and so growing up with that, they didn't have a steady relationship with me and my brother anyway. So being taken away from that was more of like going on a really fun vacation and then the vacation never ending. So that was a good time.
Yeah, so do you remember exactly like how, like, finding out that you were adopted? Like, did your parents now that have you, like, did they tell you were adopted? Did you find out on your own?
Yeah, so it was a very open conversation about the fact that I was never going to go back to my family and that they are going to be my forever family. When we were taken away, it was because we went to the hospital for my brother to get staples in his head, and the nurse noticed that we were dirty, and they have certain, like, rules that they have to follow. So they reported it to CPS, and CPS showed up at the hotel we were staying at, and when they showed up, they took us to the foster, like, center, and then we were moved into a home for a year. And during that time, it was very, like, oh, we're not sure if you're going to go back or not, just because my parents had to go through rehab. And then when they couldn't complete that, we met Shelly and Dave, which are my parents now, and we visited them in Sacramento a few times. And then one day we just kind of got on a plane, went there, and never left. And so my parents were like, yeah, like, you're adopted, but that doesn't mean that you're not our children.
Awesome. So coming to college, how have they supported you? Your parents now?
My parents are my best friends, and I know a lot of kids say that, but, like, they truly are. And so they've been there for me throughout all of Sonoma State's issues, and going home means a lot. I do it about once a month. My mom and I talk, like, every single day. My dad and I talk every single day. We actually have a Snapchat streak that's, like, 700 days. So they're really close, and they talk to me about classes, and whenever I need help, they reach out. So it's nice to have them as a support system here.
So, do you know your parents' decision on why they chose to adopt instead of having kids on their own?
I actually don't, and I've never wanted to ask because it seems like a little bit of a touchy subject. I'm going to go along the routes of like my mom probably was infertile or my dad was, and they couldn't have kids of their own because I know that they did try to adopt about 4 or 5 times before they found us. And my aunt has talked a little bit about it to me, but no one's ever told me like the real reason.
So is your brother, is he directly related to you, or did your parents decide to adopt 2 different ones at the same time?
So we're a little unclear whether we're full-blooded brother and sister, just because our birth parents weren't married. So he is definitely half of my brother, or my half-brother. And then I also have 2 other half-brothers, a half-sister and another half-brother who was born in last December, actually. So
oh, that's awesome. Have you reached out to them?
My sister and I have been in contact. She raised me as a kid. And then the 2 older stepbrothers, or half-brothers, I kind of knew them growing up, but we weren't really close. And then the baby brother haven't reached out. He went into foster care immediately.
Okay.
So maybe one day.
We're wrapping up, but going through this in your life and knowing that you're adopted, do you think that when you're older that you will choose to adopt, or that you will have your kids on your own?
Both. I absolutely want to adopt and help another kid out of the foster system because it is a very scary place and kids aren't always treated fairly in it. I was very lucky to end up where I did, but that's not an option for a lot of older kids in the system. But I also really want my own kids. But I want both, so it'll be a mixed family, definitely.
Well, thank you so much for joining me today, and that was an amazing story. Thank you.
Good morning and welcome back to Comms Corner. Today we return again with esports star Jason Smith for part 2 of our interview. Last time we left off, we were discussing the foundation of your esports career, how you began, streaming, what got you into the sport. So today in part 2, I want to ask you, recently, what successes have you seen?
There's been a lot of pretty exciting stuff coming. I think one of them is actually away from the game, just more like this is my last semester of college, and I think I'm very, very excited about that. I think college is something that's been very, very stressful, I'm sure, for many people here, and we can all start to see kind of the light at the end of the tunnel. So that being able to maybe go away very soon in this last semester is making me very excited about work, and it's giving me this new energy to want to try harder again, and kind of like when I first started, that same sort of motivation and push that I had is coming back, which I like to see.
Wow, that's positive to hear that. Something that our fans wanted feedback on from our first interview. How do people react to this when you tell them that you do esports?
So generally, a lot of people kind of look at me almost like I'm not even speaking English. I think a lot of people just can't really grasp the concept that people are actually able to make money or make a living playing video games. It's something very different in today's day and age as opposed to it was, 20 plus years ago. Before it was more like you're kind of just sitting in your room playing video games literally by yourself all day long, and it's like really looked at negatively, I think. And I think gaming has evolved so much now that it's like single player gaming is almost not really existent anymore. Gaming is so connected more than ever. You're meeting people and interacting with people from all different places in the world, different states, different countries, different whatever, because that's just kind of the direction things are going, because it's trying to connect more people as opposed to isolating people like it has been. But yeah, I would definitely like to see gaming come into a more mainstream spotlight to the point where people that are just kind of walking on the street could start to understand, okay, like this is what that is.
Yeah, I think we're getting there thanks to creators like yourself, being an inspiration to kids and people our age even. So you mentioned backstage getting signed on with the Warriors esports team. Can you tell us a bit about that?
Yeah, so I've been in talks with so the team name is the Golden Guardians, and it's the esports team of the Golden State Warriors. So I've been on a couple different sponsored teams over the years, but this was definitely the most interesting one to me because the Warriors aren't actually an esports organization. It's one of the most successful basketball teams in the entire world. So there's just, billionaires. So I was like, okay, a basketball team is reaching out to try to sign us. I'm like, this is a really big opportunity and deal here. So I'm definitely going to try everything I can to make sure this works. And it took about a year for the contracts to happen. And just recently in last December, it all got finalized. And they've been great ever since we've been working with them. They've got a great staff, a great team. They've helped me create lots of new content. They're actually helping me fulfill my internship to graduate from the school as well.
Wow, that's impressive. So what do you do with them? Do you just stream with them?
So basically, I have to do a bit of advertising for them. I had to change my Twitter name, my Instagram name, and they've actually created a team that can help me create a YouTube channel. So now I upload videos Monday, Wednesday, Friday on my channel. And yeah, basically just has 80 hours of streaming per month, which is nothing because I already stream 7 days a week anyways. And then, yeah, they give me a little bit of money, but it's mostly good for the exposure and the networking opportunities that come with it because they're actually a very well-respected organization. Have a lot of big names out there, so.
Right. I can imagine that within time, you'll gather more views from that. So do you have any rivals or competitors in this space that you can tell us about?
Yeah, I'd say my biggest rival is a guy named Waz. So the biggest thing in my game I play is there's multiple regions. So the most dominant region I think is NA because I'm from there, obviously.
North
so it's
America,
gotta
yeah.
be. And then the rival region is EU, which is Europe. So people from all over Europe. And it's been this guy for years. He's been the top of the line player for multiple expansions now, and so have I. But the only time we've ever played versus each other in a tournament, it was last year at a tournament called BlizzCon, in the biggest tournament in the world, and I 3-0'd him in the semifinals. So I got that over him forever. Yeah.
That's impressive. Yeah. So closing up here, can you just tell us where you want to take this from here on out?
Definitely want to try to evolve and expand all of my social media platforms. Definitely my Twitch stream, my YouTube channel, and hopefully with all of the money that I've been able to gain and make through this, that I could start to create something like a notable real estate portfolio and consistently invest with my team and everything like that. And hopefully I could be able to do this for a living, and it's my absolute dream job. And I'm going to do everything that I possibly can to make sure that I can at least try my best to succeed, because I think that'd be my biggest regret if I just didn't give everything that I had for this.
Right. So it's a bit of entrepreneurship, a bit of hobby. Well, thank you for joining us on Comms Corner, and thank you for watching. Have a nice day.
Good morning, and welcome back to Comms Corner. My name is Desmond Gates, and I'm here with Zach Pace, baseball coach of Sonoma State Baseball, also the manager of the Sonoma Stumpers. Zach, it's great to have you here.
Thanks for having me, Desmond.
Thanks. So let's just get right into it. How did you get into baseball?
I was brought up at a young age. We're all products of our environment, and my family was raised in the baseball family. My brother's named after Willie Mays. I was kind of forced into it into a sense, but my dad also asked me if I really wanted to play the game multiple times, and said to do what you love, and it was always what I love to do.
Okay. What position did you start out with or want to be?
At a young age, I was more of a first baseman. I liked Will Clark a lot, being a Giants fan. But my height, I'm not the biggest guy. They want to throw to somebody a little bit taller at first base, so they stuck me in the outfield. I can run a little bit, and that benefited me more.
Yeah, I like to elaborate on that. I know that smaller stature players, they really don't get recognized for being first baseman. Usually if they're fast, they'll go to the outfield or infield, pretty much like a shortstop, second baseman. Fast forward to your experience here at Sonoma State. Why did you choose Sonoma State to play at and coach?
I went to Ohlone Junior College out of the East Bay there. I'm from the East Bay, and I got recruited to come up here to Sonoma State. Had a couple other options, but it was close enough to home, but yet far enough away to kind of get away. And I really enjoy the atmosphere, the campus, and I haven't left since then. I still coach here. I played here, still coach here. Got my master's here as well, and haven't left yet.
Going on to head coach John Geltz, how is it like coaching with him?
It's great. I learn something every day. He's really an easygoing coach and has an easygoing approach that's really successful if everybody buys into it. And I find myself at times want to do more than what he wants, and I gotta ease myself back a little bit, but that's part of the learning process, and that's why he's been around for a long time. And he's a legend. He's second all time in wins for baseball in Division II.
Yeah, it's really exciting that he just came off his 1100 win. Do you think that this would help the team gain momentum and going more into the season?
I hope so, for sure. It seems like it. We had a couple tough opponents first few weekends, and then we did a better job last weekend, and hopefully we keep that momentum into this next weekend and, keep that ball rolling a little bit.
Yeah. So Junior Des Gates, I know he's a little shaky in the outfield right now. How do you approach going about helping hit that part of his game?
I think he's on his upswing. I think he had a little slower start, did some little tweaks with the stance, but I think he's a hard worker every day. Does his job to get better each day. Our thing at Sonoma State is Kaizen, getting better in small increments daily, and I think he does that. And I really like where his swing's at. The tweaks that he did with that, and I like his future.
Right. So you talked about Kaizen. What are some other tips that you would tell the team, or other nuggets that you would tell the team to keep them going?
Another one Geltz uses a lot is just the way we like it. Things don't always go the way we want it to go, and we have this perception that it's going to go this certain way, and it usually never goes that way. And, whatever happens, it's just the way you like it, and it's on to the next one. Control with what you can control, and which is your attitude and effort.
All right. It's been a pleasure talking with you, and thank you for coming. That's it. That's all we have for Comms Corner.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Korean Pop Culture. I am joined here today with my friend Nancy. And Nancy here is not only a fan of global sensation BTS, but she is part of their fandom called ARMY. Can you tell us a little bit about what it means to be an ARMY, or what is an ARMY?
So an ARMY is basically a dedicated fan that helps promote their music, whether that be through social media or in real life.
Okay. And when did you find yourself transitioning between being someone who's like a casual listener and someone who is an ARMY or a huge dedicated fan?
Yeah, so I think I transitioned late 2017 or early 2018. And I think what really helped me motivate, from fan to being a dedicated ARMY, would be their production value in their music videos. I think that was really astounding for me, and I've never seen music videos like that. That really intrigued me.
Mm-hmm. And would you say that there is a difference between the two, being a casual listener or being an ARMY, or do you think they're about the same?
Yeah, so a casual listener would be someone who listens to their music but doesn't go above and beyond an ARMY would to promote their music. We constantly promote their music, whether that be through streaming or buying albums or even purchasing tickets for concerts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so a lot of their support is often due to the result of social media as well, right? Mm-hmm. Social media plays a huge part. What other apps do you see that help dedicate their fans to the group, or that help them access that interaction between the fans and the artists?
Yeah, so there are different platforms that they use to create a better bond between their fans and the individual group members. For example, there's Twitter, where they have their own account where each member can post anything from pictures to videos to even questions, and then fans can interact with them that way. Or they even have live streaming, a live stream app where they can grab constant feedback from their fans, and they can also grab questions from their fans. And then through these interactions, they create a better bond between the individual group members and the fans.
Yeah, and you also yourself have a Twitter account as well, right? You have your own Twitter account, but you also have a fan account. Yeah. And is that dedicated to the group in itself, or is that dedicated to just one member?
Yeah, so I have a regular fan account, which is I dedicate my account to all the 7 members. I generally like to show my appreciation to all of them. Yeah, I don't normally go about showing my appreciation to just one member, but I do this by promoting their music or promoting their message they like to send out to their fans. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And who is that one bias that you have, or who's that one person that you support the most?
So yeah, a bias would be someone an individual group member that we appreciate the most. So my bias would be either J-Hope or Jin. But like I said earlier, I like to appreciate all 7 members.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And as we have known that BTS has had such success, not only in South Korea, but also in different parts of the world, but also as well recently in the U.S. And so how does that connect all of the fans, and how is it, it's interesting because they speak a different language, but they attract people from all over the world. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so they're really a global sensation, and I think they're able to earn that title because they have fans all over the world, like you said. We in the U.S. here, we don't see it as often here, but like in cities where there are a lot of population of like fangirls would be like Los Angeles or San Francisco even, or maybe even New York. And then there's other countries that have bigger population of fan bases like Brazil.
And lastly, what is a message from on behalf of the Armies that you would like to send out to our viewers, and something that you've learned about being an Army?
Yeah, so one of their big messages that they like to send out to their fans is music transcends language. And I think that's really important for them because even though us international armies, we can't understand their language, we don't speak Korean, but we do understand their emotions and their effort that they put through their music and their music videos.
Music transcends language. I like that. Well, thank you so much for being on the show today. And that is all for today. See you guys next time on Korean Pop Culture.
Good morning and welcome back to another episode of Comms Corner. My name is Christine and today we're here with Sonoma State student Katie Breen. Thank you so much for being here today with us, Katie. So today we're going to be talking a little bit about on-campus involvement, specifically your experience with campus involvement. So tell us a little bit about your experience at Sonoma State thus far. I know you're only a junior, but you've done a lot with your time here so far. Tell us about it.
So far at Sonoma State, my freshman year, I decided to jump right into it. And the third week of school, I went through sorority recruitment, and that was fun. And so I'm in Phi Sigma Sigma, and I'm president.
Yes.
Which is a position I only got this is my first semester. And then I've also done campus leadership. I've done summer orientation 2 years in a row as a summer orientation leader. And then I also am one of the supervisors at SIP in the Student Center.
So you got a lot on your plate. So tell me a little bit about your position in the sorority. So you're the president. What led you to wanting to be the president? Or did you even want to? Was it kind of like, how did you get there?
I think president wasn't necessarily the first thing I thought I'd be when I joined my sorority. But I think the community that I was originally looking for when I joined Greek life wasn't necessarily what I got. And while it was something I really loved, I want to work to improve it so it's better for people who join after I already leave. So it wasn't necessarily something I thought I'd do, but after being vice president last year, then I thought I'd give it a shot.
Yeah. Well, hopefully you're having a good time with that. Yeah. So what has been your favorite thing that you've done on campus?
I think
or favorite thing to be involved in?
Yeah, I think it actually is Phi Sig. Even though it's a lot of work, I think it's been the most fun while also seeing the most results and like skills that I have. Like, I don't think I ever would have been able to supervise like 20 different people in their positions before I joined that. And then there's also the fun aspect of like getting just to hang out with people and free food.
So tell me a little bit about your job on campus. So you work at SIP.
I do.
How long have you been there?
A year, actually. Only a year.
In your supervisor position?
No. My supervisor position is new this semester, so I've only had it for around a month now.
Awesome. How are you liking it so far? Do you think it's kind of helping you along with your experience as a president in Phi Sig?
I think it is. I think it's a little stressful because there's so much that's out of my control. Starbucks as a corporation isn't great.
Right.
Yeah. So there's a lot that's out of my control at SIP, but I think both have a lot more administrative things to do than I thought they would, so I spend a lot of time alone on my laptop instead of working with people like I did as vice president or just as a normal person at SIP.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about your experience as a summer orientation leader. How long have you been doing that?
I've done it for 2 summers now.
Okay, wow. And do you have a favorite year?
I definitely like the first year more.
Okay. I would think that maybe the first year would be a little intimidating. I think I thought about doing it 1 year and I was like, it seems like a lot to handle.
Yeah, it's definitely a big position. Like, you follow the same schedule as the students, and as you probably remember from orientation, it's a pretty packed schedule.
Yeah.
And it's also hard to really like bond with students and pass on the information, all the information you'd want to give them, only in maybe a 36-hour period.
So how would you say that your involvement on campus is going to lead into your career goals and what you want to do in the future?
Wow. I thought I knew what I wanted to do in the future, but apparently I don't. So I think I'm hoping...
As do we all.
Yeah. I think I'm hoping that all this involvement will kind of showcase that even though I'm not exactly sure what I want to do, when I am applying for jobs, I'll have, like, you know, a pretty big list of things I'm able to, like, things that would make me an asset to them, even though I'm not committed to any field yet.
Absolutely, a good resume builder, for sure. Yeah. So senior year is coming up for you. What are you most excited about?
I'm most excited about, I don't want to say finishing, but it's
That's just kind of all what we're thinking.
Yeah, I am going to be more sad to leave Sonoma State than I am happy, but it's more just I want a break. I'm really looking forward to sleeping.
Yeah, definitely understand that.
Forward to sleeping.
Definitely understand that. So any last words about why students should be involved on campus?
Students should be involved on campus because it gives you something to look forward to when you go to school, and if you don't have that, it makes it really hard to not only do well academically, but socially. Like, academics aren't the only thing that matter. It's a well-rounded experience.
Can definitely attest to that. Well, this has been Katie Breen on campus involvement. This has been another episode of Comms Corner. We'll see you next time.